Hi, my name is Tania Brown and I'm a conflict resolution specialist and also a communications, confidence and relationship coach. And I am really lucky to be part of the cohort of coaches that I'm working with who are also and have spent lots and lots of time organising the Wellbeing at Work week. And my contribution is to do a presentation and a talk for you on emotions while you're at work. But I will have to ask you to bear with me because my computer skills are absolutely rubbish. Let's do this together. I'm going to try and share my screen and hope that it works. So sit comfortably. Okay, I'm looking at share screen. Sharing the sound. Optimizing for video clip. Let's have a look. Okay, it looks like we are cooking with gas. So, fine, great. Now, I can't see myself on the screen, so obviously I've done something wrong, but that doesn't matter. You don't want to be looking at me, do you? So for me, well-being is something that we hear about more and more and more these days. And I think I work with 3 pillars and values to well-being. And for me, each one supports and helps the other run smoothly. And these are mental well-being, physical well-being, and financial well-being. So if you've got mental well-being here is looking after the way that you feel, make sure you take plenty of breaks, read lots and lots of lovely self-help books, take some time out meditating, make sure that you are emotionally in a good way. Physical well-being speaks for itself, really. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be a marathon runner or, you know, go swimming 75 lengths of the pool every single day. So don't beat yourself up if you're not one of those kind of people, because I'm certainly not. But little things every day that can help you, you know, small steps moving forward, drinking more water. You know, I set a timer on my phone every day now to make sure I have a glass of water every 45 minutes because I was guilty of forgetting to do that. I also make sure I go for a walk around my local park. It's not very far away and it's a nice park to walk around. These things have taken me a little bit of time to build up to. And I have to tell you, she says excitedly, I found this brilliant bloke on YouTube and his name's Rick Buller. If you haven't already heard of him, go onto YouTube and check him out. He is fab. He's an ex-dancer. He used to be one of J-Lo's dancers. Really nice guy. And he runs these kind of like dance classes that get your steps, your daily steps up. And he does different levels of daily steps. Honestly, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But the final one being financial well-being. People don't tend to think of this too much when it comes to emotional well-being, but actually not being in a good place financially can really sink your boat, particularly if you're in an awful lot of debt. And I can share a story about me. I'm quite happy to do that, and I will throughout this presentation. But one of the things about me is I work really hard. I'm quite a studious academic person. I can't stop getting qualifications and all of those things. But one thing I'm really bad at is money and managing money. And 6 years ago, I was made redundant from a very well-paid job. Over the phone, boom, all my finances gone. Now, at that point, I'd been used to having my lovely salary and my lovely car allowance. So I was buying things on credit cards and, you know, having a big car loan and all of those things. So I didn't have any savings. I had a titchy little pension and no savings at all. And when I lost my job, I realised how exposed that left me. I've got no cushion to fall back on. And it was a very anxious time. So what did I learn from that? Well, as soon as I've managed to pay my debt off, I try not, wherever possible, to buy things if I can't afford to buy them. And I mean, I'm talking anything, shoes, handbags, a new set of crockery from Denby, you name it, I was doing it. And always try and put a little bit of money away if you possibly can at the end of the week. It doesn't matter if it's a tenner, just a little something, because trust me, financial well-being can be a cause of huge anxiety. And over this past year, well, I think it's actually longer than 12 months now, isn't it? A lot of people have had an awful lot of time for self-reflection. There have been a lot of light bulb moments and realizations, and I think quite a lot of priorities are now being looked at in a different way. Being at work is a big part of life for many of us. We're at work a long time, and so looking after our emotions and our mental health at work is absolutely vital. So let me ask you this question. How many of the things listed on this next slide that I'm going to show you resonate with you? I get anxious if I haven't checked my emails. When my friends ask me how I am, I often find myself talking about work situations. I often think about work when I'm not even at work. My mood depends almost completely on how work is going. So if you sort of secretly answered yes to yourself to quite a few of those, then it's time really to take a look at your work-life balance. A long time ago, when I was doing my degree, I worked with a psychologist who was an absolutely brilliant person, and she said, enjoy work, go to work, enjoy it immensely, try and get as much out of it as you can, but try to give 80% of you and no more. 80% and no more. And why? Because if you're exhausted or you become ill or something happens at home or anything, you've got literally no energy or mental reserves left because you've given everything to your workplace and not really given space for your home life or for yourself. Why have we become work martyrs? Because we have. So let's see, we think the only way to recognition and to succeed is to never stop working. We are frightened, and this is so true, that if we take a break or disconnect for the smallest of moments, it's going to derail our careers. And we truly believe that happiness is the result of professional achievements. Well, some of it is, but it's not totally true. And, caring too much about a job is both unhelpful and unhealthy. It makes small problems seem really, really big. And off-the-cuff comments from people can feel really, really bad. So it's not just leaders who care too much, it's all of us. And it's possible to be overly attached to any job, at any level. Now, caring less, it does offer a solution. And it can help you with your anxiety. It means you don't have to worry before a big meeting, or you don't get frustrated with workmates, or you don't have that horrible Sunday night feeling that a lot of people get. It means that you feel more comfortable putting your phone away if you're out with your mates or your partner, and you're also not haunted by fear of missing out if you've got a day off and you dare to have a bit of holiday. But being less passionate about your job doesn't mean not caring about your work. It just means you care more about yourself. It means that you'll carve out time for you and the people that you care about, maybe for a bit of exercise or to actually dare to enjoy a holiday. And I can tell you now, if you ask people way into the future, into their retirement years, I'll bet you very, very few of them would say to you, oh yeah, I really wish that I'd stayed at the office until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. It's just not true. So also, what about the house of deadly work stressors? And we all have them. I picked a few of my favorites on here, but everybody will have different ones. So thinking about emails when you're on holiday, I do that all the time, but that's not really having a rest or being on holiday. That's stressing about your work emails and getting even more stressed if you can't find a Wi-Fi signal. Then there's the works gossip, the person who is the mischief maker. Now, as a mediator, workplace is my specialism. I meet mischief makers all the time. And they're the ones that seem to know everything and wind everybody up into a frenzy. So the works gossip. Unpredictable schedules. Now, we can't always avoid them, but they are a stressor, and we need to know how to take a step back from that when we're starting to feel overwhelmed. Lack of sleep, and I know there's a great presentation going on. I think it's with Sean about lack of sleep. It's well worth looking at. Feeling left out and socially isolated, and that can be, not being joined in on the lunch break, or not being invited to someone's party, or being in a team but you think your boss is leaving you out of stuff. Then there's unfair deadlines where things are just that the deadlines they give you are unrealistic and just not fair at all. And then there's the information product know-it-all. Now, this poor guy or lady doesn't mean to be a know-it-all. They just are. You think they are. They might think something differently about you, that you're really cool at something else. So don't invest too much time worrying about you feeling like you don't know as much as they do, and it's a big problem, because it's probably not true. So what's the leading cause of stress? It's our brain, isn't it? We overthink all the time, and chronically overworking is really bad for your health and counterintuitively for your success. In fact, productivity starts to wane after about 50 hours a week. So what do I say about this, and what do other specialists say? Well, first of all, definitely give yourself a break. Have a night off, make sure you go and eat a sandwich away from your desk at lunchtime. Don't push workplace into your time off. What I mean by that is, don't let one bleed into another. Have a cut-off point. Make friendships outside of your job. Really, really important, this. Because if your friendships are all surrounded by your job and your work is going to be all-consuming. Plus, let's face it, the people that we make friends of outside of work are probably more the kind of choice of person that we would want to be friends with, whereas in work, and I'm not saying all the time this happens, but often in work friendships are put together because you're under the same roof all the time. This is a really big one. My next one is stop overestimating your importance. Because all that will happen when you're discovering that the world hasn't fallen apart when you've gone on holiday, or you're going to threaten to leave because you've found another job and no one bats an eyelid, because it happens all the time, is you're going to feel very resentful and very unappreciated when there really isn't any need for that. There's a big saying, isn't there? There's no sentiment in business, and that is absolutely right. Companies just keep ticking over. It's as simple as that. So, because if you overestimate your importance, what that also means is you're putting yourself under a lot more pressure, and then also potential disappointment. Try and have a break from your phone for a while. And if you're going to confide in people at work, choose them carefully and don't vent. Don't be the angry one all the time, the one that's bound to moan about this, that, or the other. Try and hold back from doing that. And be clear about what you need to do. So you know what your role is, you know what jobs you're doing. Make sure you've got everything written down and crack on, because organisations hire you to start from 9 and finish at 5. I mean, that's just a time scale. And let go of what you can't control. Okay, it's really, really annoying. The managers have said they want to change a particular day for the lunch to be ordered, or they're going to invest in a whole new CRM system when they could do with investing in something else. It's not in your control, so don't get too wound up about it. Because if you don't, well then, you're at risk of burnout, aren't you? And burnout, lots and lots of signs of burnout. Things like mental and emotional exhaustion, you've got depersonalization, you have difficulty with work and personal relationships, cognitive difficulties, taking your work home with you, fatigue, negativity, to name but a few. And poor self-care, which I think is another really big sign of being burned out, is you can't be bothered to have a shower every single day, or make your bed when you get out of bed, or prepare your clothes for the next day. Burnout is serious, But there are some steps you can take to undo some of the effects. And the first one is to figure out why you are feeling this way. So here is a good idea about fighting burnout. So try and disconnect. Disconnecting is one of the most important burnout strategies on the list. Because if you can't find to remove yourself electronically from your work, then you're going to never really leave work. Pay attention to your body signals. It's very easy to think that a headache is a result of dehydration, or that a stomach ache is a result of something you ate, and that an aching neck can be from sleeping wrong or with the wrong pillow. But it isn't always the case. Oftentimes your body really wants you to pay attention to its signals so that you can nip burnout in the bud. Your body is always talking to you. That was a really good tip I had a long time ago. Try and schedule in some relaxation. Now, loads of people rave about meditating, and they've been, I've been listening to them for years about meditating, and it seems to do them an awful lot of good. So I bought myself a book to get rid of the myth about meditating, because I'd always pictured people sitting on top of a mountain with that legs crossed pose. But actually, there's a great book. It's called Just Sit. It's a bright orange coloured book, and it gives you some lovely miniature meditations, stuff you can do in the middle of the day. And actually, you know what? If you zone out and the more you practice it, it's really, really, really good. Now, a big one, and I find this useful for me, is to get organised, because you do get more stressed the more unorganised you are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, are you one of those people that's got the chair with all the clothes piled on top of it? I know I am sometimes. I can't sleep very well in an untidy bedroom. I recognise that about myself. So some of these things are useful things to try and remember. Okay, so one of the things that I train people to do when I'm running a training is to write a little, I won't say journal, but just put things in a pad. So here's a slide really that if you can make some notes on this, but I'm happy to send you a copy of this particular slide. Write down what's triggered you or pushed your buttons that day. And then how did you respond? Really think about it. And then why do you think you responded in that way? But keep asking yourself why, because your body and your brain will tell you that you've hit the right answer. So it's a little bit of self-coaching. And what effect did you responding in the way that you did? What effect did it have on you? And can you reframe it? Can you turn things around and think about it differently and perhaps react differently next time? One of the big things you ought to do in life really is savor the moments. Really, really savor the good moments. And let me tell you about a time after I was made redundant, and I hadn't realised how burned out and how stressed that I was. But I'd been made redundant probably 4 or 5 months. I was made redundant in the January. And it was a beautiful, beautiful hot day. And I had taken my granddaughter to a birthday party. And the lady whose child it was who ran the party had hired a little sports pavilion, cricket pavilion. It got a lovely field outside. It was really lovely. And she'd laid out a big picnic blanket, and it was an old-fashioned children's party with pass the parcel and musical chairs. And I remember sitting on the grass, and the grass was really warm. And this sounds all very sucky, I realise, but this is a true story, I promise. And it's a message, really. And I was looking at all the children thinking, wow, the colours are really bright on their clothes. And then I was looking at the colour of the sky thinking, God, the sky's really blue. And I kept having this smell, and I kept thinking, what is that beautiful, beautiful smell? And I realised it was grass. And it took me a while to realise that I had not given myself time over the previous 15 years to sit down and savour any kind of happy moment. I was always stress, chase, work. I literally had time for nothing. All I did was see the world in high speed black and white instead of taking a break and enjoying some of the really beautiful times. And I've never forgotten that moment, and I never will. So, I plead with you really, savour the really nice moments. and start good habits. Good habits is a brilliant idea, and it helps with your emotions, your organizations, your stresses, all sorts of things. You know, think of something or someone that you really admire, you know, that you can see or that you think have got themselves together. I've got a very good friend who I try and emulate all the time because she's so organized and she's so good, but because of that, she's really, really calm. So here's an example of a good habit recipe. Now, we say recipe because it's all about anchoring that habit, which is then a small behavior change. And the way you can anchor it is by celebrating what you've done. So I've just put like a made up example on here. So for example, you know, after I have had my evening shower, that would be your anchor. So something that you know you do every day that your brain automatically says it's time to do that now. And I'm not talking about it's time to pour a glass of wine when you hear the Jack and Nora music coming on the telly. And then after that, after I've had that shower, I will turn off all notifications for social media. That's the small behavior change, because before that, you would always have the notifications for social media on. And to wire that and anchor it into my brain, I will high five myself for giving myself the control. It's just a very simple, simplistic thing. You can use any kind of habit that you want, really. But to just give you an example, looking at that diagram, if you look at the red circle on the top there, it says feeling depressed. You do nothing, nothing changes. But if you've got the feeling depressed and the blue arrow swipes to trying something new, it goes on to a small change happens, and then you feel a bit better. But if you follow the green line, which is much further down the line, over time, you will realize that actually you are feeling an awful lot better. So I am going to have a go at stopping sharing the screen because that's the end of the slides. Hope you've enjoyed them. We're always around if you want to ask any questions, obviously. But the big message from me to you is that, you know, you are at work a long time and it is really important to take care of yourself. Give yourself time, make sure that you've got your stuff sorted before you go into work, and try not to let anything get you down too much. And stay chilled. Thanks for watching. I'm going to switch off the recording now. Let's hope it works.